It's tea time. Some tea for you. Tea for me.
It smells so good.
So today we're drinking sweet and spicy original. Welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Barclay. Tea time with Barclay. Tea time, tea time. Blow on it first.
Oh, it's so good.
That is sweet and spicy.
Without any sugar or anything, right?
Mm-hmm. So today we are talking to Sara Day and drinking sweet and spicy original. I don't think that last part was necessary, but it's very tasty. Sara, why is this your favorite tea?
It has a little bit of all the different tea flavors. It's got cinnamon and peppermint and clove and it's spicy and sweet, and it's right there in the name. But
Yes.
It's sweet enough on its own that it doesn't need sugar or anything. But if you put milk in it, it makes a really nice milk tea too.
That sounds good. I'm probably gonna get some of this. I've never heard of it, and it's delicious. Good earth, sweet and spicy tea. So today at Mycelium Gallery, Today at Tea Time with Barclay, we are here with Sara Day, who is our next spotlight artist here at Mycelium Gallery. Her spotlight show is on September 21st. It will be from 7 to 9, and this is just the opening night, and it will run for a full month. So welcome, Sara Day.
Welcome. Why did I say welcome? Thank you.
Thank you. So your show is called The Liminal Art of Sara Day. Or no, it's called Betwixt and Between, The Liminal Art of Sara Day. And you made your own poster for the event. Usually we just do digital posters, but Sara went far beyond and made a physical copy. So it's actually a piece of art. So can you tell us how you made this?
Sure. So I set out to make a digital poster and couldn't, because I love digital art, but for me personally, art is very visceral and tactile, and I have to be able to touch it and have my hands in it and everything. So I was struggling with making a poster and just procrastinating. And I was like, why can't I just make it? And I was like, why can't I just make it? So I just started grabbing stuff and threw in a little bit of sort of everything around the themes that I like to use and the colors I like to use.
Cool. It is very you. So you have, I think you said, watercolor on the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else did you put into this?
So this all around here is deli paper. I use deli paper, like the squares that you would wrap sandwiches in.
Yeah.
I use it to clean my brushes while I'm airbrushing and while I'm doing other stuff, so it builds up neat patterns and colors and stuff over time, and I save the cool ones and tear them up for things like this.
Nice. So there's some collage on there, and then you said polymer clay.
Yep.
On there. Cool. And it does make a really cool digital piece too. So a physical piece made into a digital piece, just for an event poster. It's pretty cool. So Sara, what does liminal mean? I'm not too familiar with that word, but what does that mean?
So liminal means, liminality is the state in the middle of a transition where you're neither the first thing or the second thing. You're still in the middle, still going through it. And usually when it's used in literature, art, or things like that, people will talk about liminal spaces like airports or forest edges, seashores, times like sunset, sunrise, anytime where it's changing from one thing to another, and then there's that moment where it's sort of both things at the same time.
Okay.
And that's what liminality is. So I use liminality in my work in a few different ways. So symbolically, I use a lot of those liminal symbols like doors, windows, clocks, skeletons, because again, you've got alive, dead, is another one of those liminal states. And also, literally, I try to evoke that with the materials I use. So I use a lot of mirrors and transparent layers, reflections, iridescence, blacklight reactive materials, because I feel like that's a whole other sense that we have, and it's really neat that we can see colors in a different way that we usually do.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it is cool to like look at a piece of, I think you have a few pieces that are blacklight reactive, and they almost look different in regular light than they do in the black light.
Yeah, it's important to me that they look cool in and out.
Yeah, cool. So what is your inspiration for creating?
Everything, really. I notice things. I feel like I notice things that most people don't notice, and then just sort of take those and run with them.
Yeah.
I like to take things that don't seem like they belong together and mash them together.
Cool.
Like with different mediums, with different styles or subject matter. As far as like specific inspirations, some of my artistic influences are Dave McKean, who did the covers for the Sandman comic book. You can clearly see the influence in my poster from him. Also, Michael DeMeng. I've taken some workshops from him. He's an assemblage artist.
Okay.
And a lot of my pieces were actually, I got the ideas of those from workshops that I took with him. And then I've also, various pieces have been inspired by a song, or really, since I've been here at Mycelium, a lot of my art is inspired by the other people in the collective, because somebody will make something cool and I'll be like, I want to do something like that. And then I'll do something like that. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this place, is that we sort of all feed off of one another's creativity.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool to see, like, as we create our own artwork around each other and influence each other, it's like you can see hints of everyone's art and in everyone else's art. It's really cool, yeah. So how do you go about choosing your color palette, or like what colors are you drawn to?
The colors I feel like I use the most are like a dark purple, a dark orange, and turquoise. I just feel like they're really striking together. But for me, I try to use all the colors. The biggest thing for me though is I never use a color by itself.
Yeah.
Like if I'm painting, there's never only one color on my brush.
Cool. Yeah.
What I'll do is pick a group of colors that I'm going to use for this area, and just put those all together on my palette, and just put my brush in them all together, and let them blend together on the canvas.
Nice. I also really like purple. I feel like recently purple is just keep getting drawn to that color, and green for some reason. When was the first time that you realized that you enjoyed creating?
I can't remember a time before that. I feel like as long as I can remember, I've enjoyed making things of different kinds, like, you know, it'd be coloring, or they had, when I was little, they had these plaster jewelry kits that you could get that would come with a plastic mold, and you mix up the plaster and pour it in there, and then you could paint the, like, had little plastic pin backs you could put in there, and I would make pins and put them on everything. And then I went through a phase where I was putting buttons on everything. And,
Buttons.
yeah, buttons. But yeah, it's always been one thing or another, usually a few things at once.
Cool. How has your work evolved over the years?
I think that more than anything else, I collect mediums. So I'll start out doing one thing, and then I will run into something that I want to do, but I can't do it with that medium that I'm doing. So then I try to stretch that medium as far as it'll go, and then eventually I end up in another medium. And then learn how to use that one a little bit, mush those together, and then eventually something else comes up that I can't solve with the mediums I already have, and I pull in another one. And it's kind of, I think of it sort of like having different languages, like they're good at different things.
That makes sense, yeah. And they each one adds something new and different.
So I sort of, depending on how things are going at any given time, I'll be floating between 2 or 3 different mediums every couple weeks or couple months or couple days recently.
Nice, yeah, cool. How do you find a new medium, or how do you go about, like, are you like, I need something new for this, and you go looking for one, or does it kind of just find you, or?
So it's kind of like I'm trying to work on this one piece that I have in mind with this one medium, and then I get to a point where I'm like, I want to do a thing that, like, for example, I'm painting and I want this shape to come up off of the canvas. Paint can't do that.
Right.
So now I'm like, okay, I need some clay. Somehow have to work that into getting that to work and still blend into it as a painting.
Gotcha.
But then there's all the different kinds of clay, all the different kinds of armatures you'd have under that clay. And it's a lot of experimenting.
Cool. Very scientific experimenting with that. Do you have a favorite medium that you like to use?
I think overall clay is my favorite.
Cool. Mine too. Any specific kind of clay?
So I started out using epoxy clay, and I developed a sensitivity to it over time, which is something that can happen. So if you use epoxy clay, wear gloves.
Yes.
Because now I can't use it anymore.
Oh no.
And so I've been going through, for the past couple years, trying out different kinds of clay, trying to find something that will work as well for me as the epoxy clay did. But I've been through recently foam clay and then stone clay, and now I'm trying to get polymer clay to work again.
Gotcha. Have you mixed the clays?
I have layered them, but I haven't mixed them together.
Right, gotcha. Do you have any specific pieces that you use clay that's maybe your favorite piece?
Yeah, this little guy here.
Yeah.
His name is Forest Guardian, and he's an assemblage piece that I made in one of those workshops that I mentioned, and he is made out of a fake cactus, a toy plastic crab, a pine cone, sticks, seed pod, and clay.
Cool.
So he's almost entirely just things that looked cool together, and I put them, then combined them in ways that look neat. And the thing I really like about him is all of the different textures.
Yes.
And just the depth of colors and textures that he has.
I think that's one of my favorite pieces of yours as well. I like that you made the clay kind of, the texture of the clay go with the pine cone, kind of like flows really nicely. And then the hair pieces too.
Mhm.
And this is called
Forest Guardian.
Forest Guardian. One of the pieces that will be at the show. So this is Sarah's wall here that is usually up for display, but for the spotlight show, it will be on the spotlight wall, and she'll have lots more space to add things.
So much stuff.
I'm really excited to see all of the sculptures too, because you have sculpture and painting. So have you faced any challenges that have affected your creating?
Right now, my biggest challenge is that when you're a collector of different mediums, you're also a collector of different stuff. And my challenge right now is my 1-bedroom apartment. And so I've had to learn how to pare down, especially assemblage especially requires having a stockpile of just random crap. But there's a very fine line between that and hoarding, and I straddle that line. So I've had to pare down my collection of supplies quite a bit, and learn how to use the things I have instead of stockpiling more things.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to be inspired by, you know.
And
Like,
that's
oh,
a lot of what I
thing.
do when I'm like, I'll just be sitting there in my living room and I'll be like, that cake pan would look really neat inside that clock. And then I go put it in there and I'm like, oh, and that could go this other thing, and then just start putting stuff together.
Yeah, yeah.
So like having a little bit of a stockpile of random crap is necessary, but
yeah,
gotta keep it under control.
Yeah. How have you like gotten through this issue, or like over this challenge?
Just limit myself to trips to the thrift store, and
It's hard not to.
I don't take a basket. I only get what I can carry. I'm like, if I can't carry it, it's too much stuff. I do not need to get all this stuff. So that's how I limit myself from getting too many things to stockpile.
Yes, and now we have a good place to donate them to. In the gallery, you can always donate to the artist closet. You need some more space. So where do you see your art going from here?
I feel like the next medium I'm going to sort of drift back into is embroidery, which was what I was primarily doing for a few years there. And now that I've gone off and done a bunch more painting and some other stuff, I've got ideas of how I could work embroidery and painting together.
Cool.
Both embroidering on paintings and painting on embroideries.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the next thing I'll try, but then I'm always looking for new things to learn.
Yeah.
Like I recently took a jelly printing class with Stina, one of our other artists here, and now I'm doing printmaking.
Cool.
So I learned how to cut linoleum plates in high school, but I hadn't done it since then, and that was years ago. And it's really fun getting back into it.
Sweet. Yeah, I know that you did for the denim show here. You did some denim, and then you painted over the denim too. So that's kind of like the almost embroidery and painting together. Awesome. So I should have asked this earlier, but what? Well, I guess you answered the question of like your art style. That would be like the liminal, and then you.
that is how I describe my particular style. But I definitely am inspired by a lot of Art Nouveau. Like this one down here, you can see is definitely an Art Nouveau design. Yes. That one is a Shameless Musha ripoff. So I like a lot of those sort of patterns.
And it's very, you have a very like fantasy type vibe going. Dark fantasy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dark whimsy, I think I've heard it called.
Yes. Are there any more mediums that you would try?
I would love to do more ceramics. And now that I've just sort of dipped my toe back into printmaking, I'm interested in exploring that some more. And oils. I've tried oils and I just don't get it yet, but
yeah, that one's a hard one.
I feel like there's a lot of potential there because I know that oils go together really well with a lot of other mediums.
Yeah.
And so like once I figure it out, I think it'll be cool.
And they do have a very vibrant color too. Awesome. So what advice would you give someone like just starting out creating things?
Just create things. Don't worry about whether it's good. And like sometimes you just color. Sometimes you just sit there and make little marks on a page. And I've colored in an entire sheet of paper just to do something with my hands that was, you know, creative. And that you're not going to make any great works of art that way, but you're getting your brain in the right space, which is the important thing. Because if you don't sort of keep your mind open, then the ideas aren't going to come in.
Right.
There's also a lot of interesting games and things that you can play with yourself. There's a book called The Art of Noticing by Rob Walker, and I highly recommend it. It's all different sorts of exercises and games to learn how to notice different things, like how to notice all of the squares that you see everywhere, how to notice how much purple there is around you, or the smells of your neighborhood, or all different kinds of things. That's and cool. I think that just letting your brain notice things that aren't just the sort of mundane everyday stuff you always have to deal with.
Yeah.
Just let your brain play.
Yeah.
And things will come. And if you get bored, lean into it, because that's when it comes, is when you're bored.
Yes, definitely. That's cool. Plus, like, your mind has to like wrap around what your hands are doing too. So yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for talking with me and sharing some tea, and I'm definitely going to try this tea because it's really good. So this has been Tea Time with Barclay.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, tea time. Okay, we should have done this before that. Catch Sarah's Spotlight show on September 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. Come and enjoy some mocktails, and we have snacks available. There's going to be lots more of this fantastic dark whimsical artwork by Sara. And your handle on Instagram and Facebook is
Heuristic Arts.
Art.
ERISTIC. Heuristic
Arts.
_arts.
Cool. Yeah, so you can find her art on there. You can find it at Mycelium Gallery. Come and have a good time, and I'll see you there.
Oh, I just thought of something cool.
Yeah.
I meant to mention before. A thing I was really excited about is that the opening is on September 21st, which is the autumn equinox, which is another liminal time, solstices and equinoxes. And it's actually my favorite day of the year is the autumn equinox.
There you go. That's going to be the perfect night.
Yep.
For you. Cool. On the equinox, the liminal art at the liminal time.
In the liminal place.
In the liminal place. Exactly. Bye.